by the passion for human dignity, respect, equality and justice. Well, we used to say that if the roses and tulips grow in the Madam's Garden in Houghton, they can also grow in Kliptown, Soweto and Alex as well. Flowers that celebrate our own humanity and dignity. Well, that was our theatre. Those words by theatre icon John Kani, which encapsulate the very essence of South African theatre, are among many other sentiments and views from thespians who have contributed immensely to the South African theatre landscape. Those will be shared in a two-part documentary series titled Ditshomo, a story of South African theatre, which will air on SABC 2 starting tonight. And behind the in-depth look into the South African theatre story are director Nhlanhla Mthethwa and, of course, producer Napo Masheane. Guys, good morning. Welcome to Morning Love.
Hi.
All right, let's talk about how this project was born. Who wants to start?
I won't take any credit, actually. It's we are responding to a brief from SABC, which I mean, I'm a storyteller, but I was working with my partners, Nativa, then. So we wrote a concept which the SABC loved it, and we brought in my beautiful sister here. Napo, who made it happen, actually, because she's the one who's involved in this industry, you know. She's the one who took us through all the journey, you know.
Napo, let's talk about the title, Ditshomo. I feel like I've heard this word before, but I don't know, what does it mean?
Like Nhlanhla said, we're all storytellers, and all of us, I think, in shooting and in me having different conversations and different encounters with theatre practitioners across the country, you know, one common thread was that all of us are storytellers. All of us come from storytelling. We come from words. We come from spoken word. We come from music, dance, and poetry. So it made sense for us when we went back through the editing, when we said, what can we call it? It's a story of South African theatre, but what is it? It's Ditshomo. All of us are storytellers in our own little, you know, spaces and corners and experiences.
Why is this the best time to tell this story?
I think there's so many stories that we need to tell. Like one of the people we've interviewed, Nhlanhla, actually put it so nicely that, you know, we buy into what Americans are telling us. They tell us that they went into the moon and they fought the aliens and so on. So, and we believe in those stories, but we always not try to tell our own stories. Hence, I thought this was an opportune time, you know, for us to, I mean, seeing Woza Albert for me, you know, with, unfortunately we couldn't get Ubabumbongeni to be part of it. But in the documentary or in the film, he's part of this because he was part of this this whole thing. And the regretful thing as well is that we, as much as we wanted to speak to
everyone,
a lot of people,
there's too many.
People ask us, but why didn't you speak to this one? Why didn't you speak to this one? We couldn't. I wish whoever is listening can give us an opportune time to tell these stories with other people as well. We can bring them in, you know.
Let's talk about what went through putting it together. What, you know, where did it start, and how were you finally happy with, okay, this can go on in?
I mean, it's two parts. So the first part, we're focusing on the origin of South African theatre. I mean, there's a misconception that it started with the King Kong, that, you know, featured Bondati Humasikela Lugo, the music by Tot Majikiza and Miriam Makeba. It launched a lot of musicians, jazz musicians. However, we, through the journey, realized that beyond just the formality and the commercialization of theatre, theatre comes from way, way, way back. It comes from storytelling. When the grandmother's on the side, there's a fire between us, which is light, and we, the children, are the audience. And then the second part explores the contemporary, our peers, the contemporary South African theatre, what it is, how do we redefine and construct it and build it as young South African storytellers. But also we look into protest theatre, the role that theatre played in South African, in changing the system, in challenging the system, and if we could also transcend and use that to as activists, as writers who are activists in a new South Africa. So it was really looking at the past and the present, but also looking into what the future could be, which is the business side of theatre, making it sustainable and of course, making it go across the world, which it has been happening, but in a more that South Africans own the stories.
Yeah.
And like Nhlanhla said, we don't look into Americans, but also we start giving
Our
Americans
stories.
and sharing our stories that we own, not just giving them stories away and then we look the other way.
All right. What time tonight?
It's at 9 on SABC 2. The first part.
The first part,
First part, and then next Sunday.
Next
the
Sunday, the
second
19th,
part,
I hear you.
9 o'clock again.
Yeah.
All right,
SABC
guys, thank
2.
you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nhlanhla Mthethwa, her name is Napo Masheane. They put together a two-part documentary series called Ditshomo, a story of South African theatre. Masheane produced the work under Mthethwa's direction. The first part is tonight, of course, SABC 2 at 9 o'clock. And then next week, they'll have a second part of that documentary. Let's take a small